Good morning. Welcome to Professor Vipin's YouTube channel. So in today's video, as you guessed it, I'm going to do a highlight of yesterday's budget. Now, of course, I won't be able to cover all the points because if I do that, it's going to take a very long time and it's very intense analysis. I'm going to consider only the points which I feel is important for all of us because it's going to affect us directly or indirectly. So as always, I have a few points here in front of me that is going to help you understand the highlight of the budget 2019 better. So the first one would be with the indirect taxes. I've divided this into three categories: indirect tax, direct tax, and miscellaneous. So indirect taxes first. Within 2 years, tax assessment will be done electronically. The income tax filing and the income tax website and the website related to the customs or the indirect tax website is not the friendliest. It is quite painful to in fact file it and get it done through physically with manual intensive work. So the government is in fact looking to get it done electronically. Yes, welcome to the technology age. Customs duty has been abolished from 36 capital goods. Capital goods are those you use to manufacture additional things which is going to bring in revenue. For example, if you are a furniture manufacturer, timber would be your capital goods. And if you're looking to import timber, you may have to pay customs duty. Now, it could be abolished for these 36 capital goods. Other items as well, which could include in capital goods, would be any raw material that is going to be used as an input for your production process, and the final product is going to give you revenue. Recommendations to the GST Council for reducing GST rates. There is a lot of criticism on GST for some reason that the government is doing this for that sector, it's not benefiting this sector, that sector, and so on. So, one of the things I could tell you would be when the GST was introduced, they made it clear that for contraceptives for men, there is no taxes, but for when it comes to sanitary pads for women, they in fact went on to levy a pretty heavy tax. They had initially levied the tax of around 12% on that, and now the tax has been removed. Any policy that's implemented, any economic policy that's implemented will always hurt one sector and will benefit another sector. That's the beauty of trade-offs in economics. It will hit one sector, it will not give benefits to the other sector. So the government is learning things through trial and error. And they are in fact making changes quite slowly. So let's see what other changes the GST Council could go about making. In fact, in yesterday's interview of all the jewelers, they said that people are thinking twice of buying jewelry because of the high GST rates they'll have to pay for buying gold jewelry. So this is, it is benefiting one sector, but it's not benefiting the other sector. And the list goes on like this. So government has just implemented GST. It's almost going to be about 3 years this year when GST has been implemented. So yeah, they have to learn through trial and error and see what benefits them and what doesn't benefits the people and so on. Direct taxes, particularly income taxes, full tax rebate of up to 5 lakhs if your annual income is there after all deductions. A lovely analysis I saw on Economic Times, I guess, where they said that if your income is about 5 lakhs, you basically don't end up paying any taxes. So they showed this by having the standard deduction change from 40,000 to 50,000, and if your actual deduction is being about 2.5 lakhs, and you barely pay any taxes if you have invested in the national pension scheme, if you've got a medical insurance, if you've got mutual fund investments, if you're paying rent, etc., your taxes are going to be nothing if your annual income is about 5 lakh rupees. It's just a little bit of clever management. If you do here and there, you actually don't pay any taxes at all. So that's a very good advantage for the middle class. And yeah, I should start seeing the benefits of this next year. Yes, I do pay income taxes. Does it hurt? Like hell. You have no idea how bad it is when it comes to paying income taxes. It's definitely a huge pinch for the people paying it. Now, why does the government not give so many benefits to the people paying income taxes? It's because it's less than 5% of the population that pays income tax, and we are not a big vote bank. And not just saying this for the BJP, even the Congress government has done things like this where the benefits related to income taxes has been barely anything at all. because we're a minor part of the population. Then others, 2 lakh seats will increase for reservation of 10%. So this is most of the things, in fact, in which comes in the others categories like purely vote bank purposes. So this is pretty self-explanatory. I don't want to get into reservation because I'll get into a lot of trouble if I start poking some important points towards it. So 1.7 lakh crore to ensure food for all. Food security is always an important thing. And this is a nice article that I read long ago when I was growing up, I guess, that it said that India is one of the largest manufacturers of dairy products, yet we have one of the highest priced dairy products. The reason for that is because, and this doesn't just apply to dairy, this applies to food in general. Food production in India is never a problem. Access to food becomes a problem. You may have seen countless news stories where they go to these warehouses where tur dal is kept or wheat is kept or rice is kept. It is ridden with rats, and the problem becomes storage and eventually making that transportation available to the nearby markets. Logistics is always a headache for any business, especially if it is government run or if it is the unorganized sector. So here, government is in fact spending money for making accessibility to food available for people. In fact, the Akshaya Patra scheme, which provides the midday meal schemes to many schools in Bangalore and across Karnataka, the main reason why it is so successful is the logistics part. It's made in some place, the meals, and then delivered to schools. That delivery is what makes it so important for the meal plan to be successful. Rupees 6,000 per annum to be given to farmers having up to 2 hectares of land, applicable from next September. Amount will be transferred in 3 installments. Now, this article says 3 installments, but there was a hilarious thing I saw on the Indian National Congress Facebook page. And this, by the way, is the official Facebook page. So it wasn't any troll account. So they have put this infographic, and I should put up that infographic here, where they've said, the promise is 6,000 rupees per annum, but the reality is you're only going to get 500 rupees per month. My logic of that is, you morons, what difference does it make? 500 rupees per month, if I multiply it into 12 is 6,000. 6,000 1 year is like 6,000 into 1 versus 500 rupees into 12. It makes no difference. The way the Congress government has in fact put up that on their Facebook page is as if the Modi government is trying to cheat you or anything. I think their logic is getting 6,000 rupees at once versus getting 500 rupees per month. It does make a difference, but this is purely from a time value of money point of view. But no other way does it make any difference. If the government is not giving you anything less by giving you 500 rupees per month or versus 6,000 rupees per annum. The National Kamadhenu Ayog for cattle, 750 crores for National Gokul Mission. Again, pro-BJP, benefiting cattle, supporting cattle, etc. I'm okay with this, but the one thing which I always see about cattle or anything, and again, I'm a vegetarian, these animals are meant for meat production purposes, dairy production purposes. Historically, they've always they've been bred for this purpose. So spending money for treating them as anything different or giving us the impression that they have some ecological value, not something that I'm a fan of. I would be happier if the government would spend money on elephant conservation or tiger conservation or the Asiatic lion conservation. This is something that would actually benefit the ecology rather than cattle, folks. You can breed cattle by tens and thousands. I wish the same happened with tigers or lions or any of the other endangered species. The scheme called Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Mandhan, okay, I don't know how well I pronounced that in Hindi, will provide a short monthly pension of 3,000 rupees with contribution of 100 per month. So pension is a very useful thing. So my mum was working as a teacher for 25 years. She retired when she was 55. So ever since I remember, my mom was working as a teacher, and after her retirement, now she's about 58, she's now getting pension from the government. I think it's about 3,000 rupees she gets as pension from the government. And many would have this impression that, okay, what is 3,000 rupees? The way you should look at it is you are getting something for your survival. The government of any sort, and this, if you remember that minimum income scheme that I told you, it's very difficult to provide a standard income for everybody throughout the country. So if you are getting 3,000 rupees per month, and if this requires a contribution of 100 per month for the workers in the unorganized sector, this is going to benefit your family significantly. I've seen this. If you are able to get any extra income from whatever it is, could be stock market dividends, could be a bonus your employer gave you, anything, it does improve your lifestyle to a small extent. And this 3,000 rupees can go a long way, especially for the unorganized working class. More than 3 lakh crores for defense. Hell yes, any support related to Indian defense is always heavily underfunded. I am always a big supporter of that, the supporting of the defense forces and supporting of having a high budget for defense. I say that because we are a country that is surrounded by nutcases. We have China, we have Pakistan, we have Bangladesh and Sri Lanka as well that constantly gives trouble. You might be wondering what could be the possible threat of Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. Bangladesh, illegal migrants. Sri Lanka, hostility towards fishermen from Tamil Nadu. So again, a lot of stories behind that too. I should explain that in another video. But 1 lakh digital villages in the next 5 years. Digital technology, not a big supporter of that for several reasons. One of them is how are you going to get the people to understand what is the use of the technology and so on. Also, how are you going to sustain that this technology will continue to work for many years? What is the type of technology you're going to use and so on? Of course, I do support technology to a large extent, but the idea of mass implementation of technology is always going to be a challenge. Think of it like this if you want. You find it very easy to, in fact, start using a smartphone, but to get your family to start using a smartphone, that becomes a challenge. So how are you going to get an entire community to start using smartphones and so on? I say this because many times when something gets implemented, after a few years, that technology, that action, that implementation of all that becomes outdated. And no matter how hard you try, it's very difficult to, in fact, spend a lot of money and upgrade this again. I say this because many of these apartment complexes, and this relating apartment complexes with communities and villages here, initially at the launch, they have this huge gala thing where they show that, we have swimming pools, we've got badminton courts and so on. 10 years later, the whole apartment complex looks like shit. So the reason is that, of course, the developer will find it too damn expensive to, in fact, upgrade whatever he had initially done to launch the project. So once you do this in a village, how are you going to bear the cost, in fact, for the whole village to get upgrades? I'm okay with small pieces of technology being implemented in anywhere, in fact, in India. Even, for example, Bangalore, where I stay. If the government of Karnataka says we're going to make Bangalore full Wi-Fi accessible, after a few years that Wi-Fi becomes outdated, you require to spend crores in updating the parts and so many other wear and tear will come into existence. And that's when the government says, okay, never mind, check it, we're not going to go ahead and do it. So doing this for digital villages, I would be first very happy if basic internet access is provided for villages, let alone having full digital villages, maybe even smart villages. So these are some of the highlights of the budget that the Finance Minister Piyush Goyal presented yesterday. So anyway, folks, thank you for listening to me. Do like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching Professor Vipin's YouTube channel. See you guys. Bye.